show me all the blueprints. It's a huge success.
I came across a really, really interesting business opportunity.
Beyond the Blueprints.
Hi, it's Cailey Heaps with Beyond the Blueprints. Today we're chatting with Wes Hall. Wes is a friend and a very inspirational person in Canada. He is one of our nation's most successful business people. He is completely self-made, coming from abject poverty in Jamaica. He's a wonderful father and husband, philanthropist. I mean, the list goes on. Take a listen. Okay, so it's Cailey Heaps. Welcome to Beyond the Blueprints. Today we're with Wes Hall. Wes is someone I met, I guess, like 15 years ago, maybe?
Long time ago, yeah.
Yeah, we met in St. Lucia, which is an island that's near and dear to both of our hearts and our families. And we both live in Toronto, and our kids know each other, and here we are. Welcome.
Here we are.
Here we
and
are.
we've done some deals together.
We have done some
you
business
sold
together.
Me a beautiful, beautiful country house.
Yes. Are you enjoying it?
It is our. Actually, it's where I think the best.
Interesting.
Oh yeah, it's we're going there this weekend. We absolutely love it.
Isn't that nice?
Every weekend we go when we can get away. But I have some of my most creative ideas sitting on the veranda or sitting by the fireplace. So
amazing.
Thank you for finding it for us.
Well, now I feel like I'm part of that. So thank you.
You
And
are.
do the kids like going there?
The kids love it because we have all these trails and they ride their ATVs and my son, the 14-year-old has a dirt bike and stuff. Can you imagine that? He wants to hang out with us, me and his mother, at the country house when it's just the three of us.
That's amazing.
And we have this most beautiful garden. It's like I said, it's magical for sure.
Well, I'm impressed that he wants to hang out with you because my
know.
14-year-old moved to Hawaii this year.
No.
Yeah, Declan lives in Hawaii now.
No. Well, I can tell you this. We went out to dinner and he asked us, when are you guys going to be back? Right? I'm like, dinner is only like about 2 hours. He's like, okay, fine. 2 hours, he texts us, when are you guys coming back? Are you guys coming back home now?
Isn't that so nice?
Yeah, it's kind of cute.
You've raised very good kids, though. Like all of your kids are nice kids.
Yeah, and five of them. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
5 of them. 3 of them are, 4 of them are actually out of the house. My daughter is in university, second year. The three other kids, one is in New Zealand, 2 is here in Toronto living on their own. And the 14-year-old is the last one, and he's he's like a grandkid to us.
Isn't that
like
so
literally
neat?
we treat him like a grandkid, and when the older kids see the way we treat him, they go, "Who are these people?"
Oh yeah, I'm the youngest of 4, and my brothers feel like I was raised by different parents.
Yes,
so it's
totally
the same.
different.
Yeah,
And the thing about it is, when you get a little bit older, you get mellow.
yeah,
You realize that life is not, things will be okay.
yeah. Everything
They're
works
going to be,
out.
as long as you have certain standard.
Yeah.
That's just immovable. You're not gonna change from these standards.
Yes.
And they know it.
Yeah.
That's fine. Other things, you don't worry about it.
It's true,
Yeah.
right? And I think that character, your kids understand your character and what your priorities are. And if they live within that and respect it, then things generally go okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. Although Declan seems right now to want to live in the middle of an ocean. So
Well, he's gonna get experience. Good
he'll
for him.
figure it out.
Yeah.
So you are originally from Jamaica.
Yeah.
And
Born and bred.
You're born and bred. And you've written a book about your...
My days in Jamaica and my days here. Yeah. I came here September 27th, 1985.
Wow.
And any immigrant you ask.
Almost exactly 40 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry. Any immigrant.
Any
you ask.
immigrant you ask, when did you come to Canada? They know the date.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, they know the flight number that they took
Wow.
and everything about it, right? Because especially when you came from poverty, I came from extreme poverty.
Yeah.
And when I say extreme, I mean, I used to work in a plantation with my grandmother, 3 different plantations, depending on the season, coconut, banana, and sugarcane.
Wow.
So I used to go to work with her. I used to put bananas in boxes to export. I used to pile sugarcane with her, pile coconuts with her as a child.
Wow.
And I left that and I came to this country and it was just to change my life. And even though I came to Malvern, and Malvern is still one of the toughest neighborhoods in Toronto.
In Canada.
In Canada.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's where my paradise was. That's where
It
my
was so
paradise
much better than...
Because it was so much better than what I left.
Yeah.
And so when I came here, I'm forever grateful to Canada. Forever grateful. A lot of the stuff that I do today, is to make our country better
Yeah.
because I know that we're like a sanctuary for the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And that's changing because of the polarization of politics.
Yeah.
And I want people to remember when people are running away from atrocities, typically they run to Canada
Yeah.
and we welcome them and we stop doing that.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. And so much of our, so many of our policies seem to be so anti-Canadian in terms of welcoming people. That's what we're built. We're a nation of people from around the world, and all of a sudden we're doing everything we can to make it more difficult.
To make it more difficult. You know, refugees come to this country, they're sleeping on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
That is completely un-Canadian.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I have 5 children.
Yes.
My wife and I.
5 beautiful children.
5, that we have to educate.
Yeah.
We have to raise right.
Yeah.
We have to, now I got to, juggle that with my work life,
Yeah.
my professional life, my philanthropic life.
Yeah.
All the things that we do, we have to balance them all.
Yes.
And so when you have to do all those things, it's not just a matter of one thing that you do and you get successful from it.
Yeah.
It's the multiple things that you do that create that success.
Yeah.
But success is not just how much money I made. Okay, how's your family?
Yeah.
What's your relationship like? I feel when my kids go, I want to be like my dad when I grow up. That is the proudest moment for me.
Of course.
Because what they saw in me, for them to say that, is balance.
Yes.
They go, I want the same thing for my family that I had when I was growing up. And that's success.
Well, and the context in which we met was we were both on holiday.
Yep.
And on holiday, it's hard to, read people that you've just met. But what I noticed immediately is how close your family is, the time that you commit to your wife. But that's all true here. Now that I've gotten to know you in the city and during your busy life, you still prioritize your family, I would say, above everything else, it seems.
Yeah, 100%. Christina and I have been married for 32 years.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay. She was 19 years old when we got married. She was a child.
Yeah.
I was 21, turning 22 years old. We were kids. And one of the things that kept us going is the respect that we both have for each other.
Yes.
And, some couples make jabs at another, maybe at a social event. Ha, ha, ha.
Yeah.
But it's not funny to the other person.
Yes.
We have to know when that's inappropriate.
Absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with jabbing each other when we're privately in a room, sitting and we're laughing and joking.
Yes.
But sometimes when you're jabbing each other when other people are around, it can be a little bit callous.
Yeah.
And then we don't apologize for it when we realize that the other person is hurt.
That's right.
Because we're just too, we're not humble enough to do that.
Yeah.
I find that there has to be a heavy and healthy dose of humility when you're married.
This is good advice because I'm single. So if I go down this path again, I'm going to remember all of these things.
Yeah,
You're right, though, because couples do that jabbing thing, and it's never a good thing. It never feels good to anyone. The people watching, the people feeling, the people experiencing.
It makes people uncomfortable.
It does, yeah.
Because they put themselves in the other person's shoes who's receiving the jab.
Yeah.
And then they go, wow. And then the other person is the only one laughing.
Yeah.
And then you go home. Like, I've never done it to Christine, but maybe I have. And she said, don't do it again. And it's done.
And it's done, yeah.
We tend to be very candid with each other. Yeah. The other thing in terms of, we talk about raising kids, we absolutely never, ever, we were talking to the kids and now they're dating seriously.
Yeah.
And they're thinking about marriage.
Wow.
And they said, one of the things that we really appreciate, all the kids said that we're all together in New Zealand and we're having dinner together with all the kids. And they said, one of the things we appreciate the most is that we've never seen you guys argue.
Wow.
In front of us.
That's a big statement.
It is a big statement. And we never really thought about it. We just do it as we're never going to do this, and we just don't do it.
It goes back to the respect, though, that
Exactly.
you have. That's so obvious when I meet you, when I
Yes.
met you too. Yeah.
And so the kids, now my son is 28, 27, my daughter is 26, son is 28, other son is 27, my daughter is 26, my other daughter is 19, and my son's 14. And that's what they've said.
Yeah.
So in other words, my 28-year-old in 28 years hanging out with you guys, I've never seen you guys argue in front of us.
Wow.
And that says something about us. Doesn't mean that we don't disagree.
No, of course.
And because when you have kids, you're going to disagree in how you parent those kids.
Yeah.
You are.
Of course you
But
are.
you should never disagree in front of them.
Yeah.
So Christine has a thing where I would say something and I can see in her eyes that she disagrees with me in front of the kids. Like,
Yeah.
and I can see in her eyes, but she would never say anything about it. But I can tell you when the bedroom door is closed.
Here we go. But that's so healthy. At least
Yes.
you address it in private.
When the bedroom door is closed, man.
Yeah.
The next morning I have a family meeting and I apologize to the kids.
Wow, that's great though.
Because it's like she's like, that wasn't cool.
Yeah.
And this is why it wasn't cool. But she'll never say it in front of the kids. But it's difficult to do.
There's so much respect in that.
It has to be a practice.
Yeah.
Like it has to be something that you just go, it's second nature.
Yeah.
Because, listen, I was raised, you read my book.
Yeah.
I was raised by my grandmother, then I lived with my mom. And it was the worst part of my life, living with my mother. I was poorly raised by my mother.
So hard.
Abused physically, the whole thing, right? My dad had me when he was 25 years old, essentially dumped me and my mother. My mother dumped me and my grandmother. They all went out and built their own other relationships and multiple partners and kids with multiple men, women, and all this type of stuff. And, and because of the struggles I went through as a kid, and nobody taught me how to be a great parent.
Yes.
Right? My grandmother was the only one in my life that I saw that was just steady and strong and was, and she was just my hero. But I only lived with her until I was 11 years old. And after that, I moved to live with my mom. It was the worst 3 years of my life. And my mom threw me out at 13 and go, you're on your own. And I lived on my own from 13 to 16 in Jamaica. So nobody taught me really.
Which is not an easy place to live on your
Jamaica.
own when
You
you're
live
13.
with a 13-year-old in Jamaica and go fend. There's no social system.
No.
So it's not like I can go to the government and say I need food.
Yeah.
Or I need
shelter.
shelter.
Yeah.
There's none of that. And there's a stigma to be homeless in Jamaica.
Of course.
But
Yeah.
even if it's for a day, it sticks with you for the rest of your life.
Oh.
Right? So nobody taught me how to be a parent. So I had to learn. I got married young.
Yeah.
And I had to learn how to be a parent. Now, if I became the parent like my mother was, it would have been bad for my kids.
It would have continued
The cycle
a
would
generational
continue.
cycle. Yeah.
So I decided that I am going to break the cycle. All the things I hated when I was a child, I am never going to repeat that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get married to the person. I'm going to hopefully find the right person and get married to them. I'm going to do my best to stay with them as long as I possibly can.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do the work that it takes to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make sure that every single kid that I have, if I can help it, is with the same person.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah.
And they're going to be under the same roof.
yeah.
And I'm never going to physically abuse my children.
Yeah.
And I'm never going to mentally and verbally abuse them.
Yeah.
And I'm going to also not do the same to my spouse.
Yeah.
Because my stepmother, my stepfather was abusive to my mother when I went to live with him at 11. And I remember how bad I felt as a child listening to those screams.
Yeah.
And I go, I would never put somebody else through that.
No.
So those things that I saw that was not good,
Yeah.
it kind of helped me to be better.
Well, and you made it, a turning point in your life where a lot of people don't make that decision.
What you hear, psychologists would say, well, the reason why Johnny commit that murder is because his dad was a bad man.
Mm-hmm.
Or the reason why he behaved this way or that way is because of the fact that, it's the way he was raised or she was raised.
Mm-hmm.
The fact of the matter is that you're not destined to be that way.
Yeah.
You have a choice ultimately.
We all have a choice every day.
But we tend to use that as a crutch to say, well, I can't do any better.
Yeah.
But we can do better.
Yeah.
Like, with kids in school, for example, when my kid come home and go, Dad, I got a C today. And I go, I know you can get a B. I know you're capable.
Yeah.
Well, no, Dad, I worked as hard as I can. Okay, you spend this much time on your social media. You spend this much. You went on to play sports. You did all these things. How much time did you spend on your homework? Well, I didn't really have time for the homework because I have to do all these things.
Yeah.
That's why you got a C.
That's a choice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a choice.
Yeah.
You made a choice to say, I'm going to abandon my schoolwork and focus on all these other things.
Yeah.
And there are consequences when you do that. And the consequence in your case is a C.
Yeah.
So you can do better.
Good for
And here's how you're going to do better in the future.
Yeah.
You're going to spend less time on those other things
Yeah.
and more time on the schoolwork.
Well, and you're sort of the ultimate success story. If you look at if you look at our nation, I would say there's very few people who've achieved what you've achieved, particularly with the lack of opportunity you were born into. You've created this path in your life, which is remarkable. How much did your grandmother play into your success, do you think?
100%.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the start of the journey. So my mother had 5 kids by the time she was 25 years old.
Okay.
Okay. Every single one of those kids, all 5 of them were with a separate man. And ultimately, the first 3, she dropped them off at their father's house. And the father goes, okay, I'm going to put them to their grandmother, his mother.
Which is very common in the
Yeah,
Caribbean.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then the other 3, me, Joan, and my brother Ian, she couldn't pan us off. So she had to live with us. But then she's like, enough. I don't want to hang out. I don't want these kids.
Yeah.
And so my sister Joan was 4. My brother Ian was 6 months, and I was 18 months old. And my mother said, enough is enough. And she actually left us in that house, in a plantation shack, by ourselves. And she never came back, and she boiled a pot of porridge and left it there and told my sister, who was 4, when the kids are hungry, which is me and my brother.
The babies.
Yeah, the babies. Feed them the porridge. The porridge was done. We were crying because we're hungry. A neighbor heard us crying, stopped by and realized that we're abandoned.
Oh, my God.
The neighbor went to the plantation. My grandmother was working on a banana plantation that day. He rode his bicycle to the plantation, got my grandmother and said, your grandbabies are abandoned in a house, which was the town is called Winchester in Winchester.
Oh, yeah.
My grandmother went to Winchester, got us, put us in a wheelbarrow that she brought us to her house.
What a woman.
She was already raising 7 grandkids
Oh, wow.
and a special needs adult daughter at the time
What a woman.
by herself.
Is she still living?
She died when I got my first break on Bay Street.
Oh, really?
And there's a story behind that. But she brought us there.
Yeah.
Now she has to go to work the next day. What's going to happen to
all
these
these
kids?
children, yeah.
So she brought us to work. That's how I started to work in a plantation. She brought us to work because we weren't school age. We're young kids.
Yeah.
And that's it. And she worked night and day. She cooked, she cleaned, she did everything. She baked and she sold at the markets. Everything she did. She was very industrious. I saw that. I spent 11 years of my life watching that.
Yeah.
11 years. I spent 3 years of my life watching my mom being a bad parent.
Mm-hmm.
And so who am I going to emulate?
Of course.
I have 2 choices.
Yeah.
11 years watching this amazing woman,
Yeah.
and then 3 years watching the opposite.
Yeah.
I decided to emulate the person who was just incredibly fascinating to me. And I became an entrepreneur. My attitude, everything about my life, it goes back to her. So if I didn't have her in my life,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be the person that I am today. My success wouldn't be the same.
Yeah.
With my family, with my business, the way that I think, my philanthropy
Yes.
wouldn't be the same. None of those things would be the same.
What a beautiful legacy for her.
Oh man, it's incredible. So everything I do, I give credit to her. You know, we vacation in St. Lucia together. We have a hotel.
Yeah.
You go into the hotel. The restaurant is called Julia's. That's my grandmother's name.
I didn't know that. Really,
And
yeah.
the main conference room that we have hundreds of people do weddings and conferences and everything, the Julia Vassal room. That's my grandmother's name.
Okay.
And the Golden Grove Ballroom, which is where I grew up in Jamaica. So everything I go back to that
To your roots.
in terms of my success.
Yeah.
It goes back to that moment in time.
Isn't that
And
something?
and I give credit to her. And unfortunately, she died in poverty.
That's
That
yeah.
shack that she grew us in, 2-bedroom, that she grew 10 grandkids and a special needs adult daughter by herself. She died in that shack, and she never saw any of my success.
I think she's
Right.
probably seen it.
But she, but she knew, she had confidence in all her grandkids that you're going to be okay in life.
She instilled that in you.
And
as
it wasn't
well.
because she like you're going to be rich. You never thought, wealth is if we put perspective on wealth, we're going to realize that, okay, I'll give you an example. The more you go up the ladder, the more you realize how poor you really are.
Because you're
Okay?
missing out on all the things you can't buy.
Because you see all the people enjoying things that you can't afford.
Yeah.
Okay? Right? So you may think, okay, I have a nice BMW, you
Yeah.
know? And then you go up the ladder and then you realize that, oh wow, this person has a nicer BMW than you. And then next you know, the person that you met, oh, they have a Ferrari. And then the other person you have, oh, they have a Maserati. Oh, then the other person, oh, I have a private jet. Oh, and then I have a yacht. And then all of a sudden you realize, yeah, right? So it's not a race you can win.
No, and it's not healthy to want
It's
to.
not
yeah.
healthy to try to run that race.
No.
Because you're going to focus on the wrong things.
Yeah.
And so when you think about, so wealth is a matter of perspective and where you are in life.
Yeah.
And so if you put it in the right perspective, you're going to treat it the way that it deserves to be treated, right?
You know, I'm very fortunate to have had success in my life. I'm fortunate in hard work. It's a
Yes.
balance. But I wouldn't have had it without that a little bit of luck. It takes a little bit of luck along the way.
And meeting the right people.
Yes.
People don't realize the network that you create. There's an expression, your network is your net worth.
Yes.
It is true.
Yeah.
Where you live, who you hang out with, matter.
It really does. I just read this week, actually, it's timely. Make sure your circle of friends is in a cage.
That's
And I
right.
thought, oh, wow, that's a really, for my
Yes.
children, I was thinking
Yes.
even the context of my children.
Yes.
Is, you know, if you look at 5 people around you and they're all the same, well, guess who the 6th is?
That's right.
Yeah. So,
And so, but in Canada, if we could go back to that, right? We in America, you have the American dream.
yeah.
What's the American dream? Oh man, you know, this guy came from or gal came from nothing, and look at them now. I want to be like them. It's
Yeah.
possible for me to be like them.
Yeah.
We don't have the Canadian dream here.
No.
The Canadian dream is not somebody came from poverty and all of a sudden they're successful. The Canadian dream is that you're supposed to have had it already,
Yeah.
right? You
We're supposed to be
celebrate people
equal.
who've had wealth
Yes.
and generational wealth. They're more celebrated than the people who built it from the ground up.
So bizarre. Yeah.
And which is because not everybody can achieve generational wealth.
no, well, that's for
That's
sure.
why it's called
Yeah.
generational wealth, because somebody started it a generation ago.
It's sort of like a genetic lottery.
Yes.
Yeah.
But most people today, they live paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
And some people, because of their hard work and because of how they built their network and luck,
Yeah.
they break out and break through
Yeah.
and they become successful. And they start to give back. The people who are like that, they typically give back because they know what it's like to be caged
Yes.
and can't feed yourself, can't educate yourself properly the right way. And they start to become philanthropists and giving back. And then people say they're showing off because they're showing their money around or throwing their money around.
There's
Right?
something so wrong with that.
You know, when we go down University Avenue and we see all these beautiful hospitals with names on it, again, the reason why the names are on the hospital is because those people are helping to make healthcare better for everybody.
Yeah,
That's
they're
why their
sharing
names
their
are there.
wealth. Yeah.
But the reason why their names are there as well, and it just doesn't say anonymous gave us this,
Yeah.
is to encourage other people to do the same.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily just for their own ego that they've done this. They put their name there or they put their name on a scholarship or something to encourage other people. Please follow me.
Take part in leading our country.
Take pride.
Yeah.
Take part in doing this for our nation.
Yes.
So when we see people's name attached to something, we should celebrate them because it's an example for us to do the same.
I think that's a very good perspective. It's a good reminder too. You know, it's so easy as humans to judge and to stand in judgment of everyone, but
For no reason.
for no reason. It doesn't make anyone feel good. So why do we do it?
For no reason.
Yeah.
You know, I've had very negative articles written about me.
Oh, I haven't seen those.
Right.
And I'm not going to look for
No,
them
no,
either.
not
Yeah.
not in the traditional media,
Oh, I see. Yeah.
but in the fringe media.
Mm-hmm.
See me on television, they read about me, and they automatically put you in a certain bracket. He must be this or it must be that. The neighborhood you live in. I work on Bay Street, so I don't understand the struggles of the average person.
Oh,
I came from a plantation. That's where I worked. That's
Yeah.
where I lived. I know what hunger pain is like.
Yeah.
These people who are criticized and don't even know what it's like. They live in a society that has a social safety net. I live in a society that had none.
None,
Okay,
yeah.
you know, and when the hunger pain comes, you have to drink water, but water doesn't cure hunger.
no.
It quenches your thirst.
Yeah.
Okay, so the pain is still in your belly, and it's like your inside is eating itself, and
the
you don't know where the next meal
photos-
is coming from.
The photos of where you grew up are
They're powerful images because
very
those
powerful.
are real.
Yeah, very
Okay?
powerful. I'm immensely proud of the work that I've done in my life, but I am very aware of the consequences to my children's lives. I wasn't as present as I should have been when they were little. But it's choices we make,
Yeah.
right? And I hope to make up that time now that I've arrived a little bit. You've started Black North Initiative, which, you know, you'll tell us what it's about, but a big part of it that I can see is that mentorship, championship piece. So what started?
So in 2020, when George Floyd was murdered,
Yeah.
there's protests all over the place, and I've achieved a lot of success in my life on Bay Street in particular, but my being Black was a major obstacle. And every time I go into a room, I still today, it's getting better. There's nobody that looked like me. No Black people. Women weren't even in those rooms. But I go, you know, when George Floyd was murdered, I start to reflect on my life and some of the challenges that I went through. And so I started to think about it, and it started to affect me profoundly. And what I saw in George Floyd, I felt that it was happening to me. And they call it, there's a psychological term for it, it's called linked fate.
Oh, wow.
If essentially I'm experiencing his fate based on what I've experienced. So I literally saw myself on a concrete with a police officer's knee on my neck.
Well, I remember I saw you walking down the street. I am George Floyd.
I'm George Floyd.
On your shirt. Yeah.
Yes, and the kids. So I said, what am I going to do about it? And I sat down, it was in my backyard, and I started to write about my experiences. And one of the experiences that I had was jogging through my neighborhood, and a white woman fell in front of me. And I hesitated to help her because I didn't have ID on me. I was in a white neighborhood, which I lived in.
Yes.
And what if she was disoriented and started to fight me off, and my neighbor calls the cops, and then all of a sudden I'm in handcuffs.
Oh, my God.
So I hesitated about that, and I wrote about it. And it was published in a newspaper. And I asked the question, how many folks in this neighborhood who were not Black, who would see somebody in need and hesitated about the consequences to them for helping that person
What
in
a
need?
world that's still something.
Yes. And I go, we need to do better.
We really
And
do.
so I started Black North Initiative because all these business leaders that I know start calling me up and say, Wes, I didn't know. How can I help? How can I help? And I go, let's build an organization that's going to do better. That's going to encourage diversity in the organization.
Yeah.
And that's going to look at society and say, we want to see diversity in society, how we treat people of immigrants, people of color, Black folks. Let's just make sure that we don't have this bias. You know, one of the biggest challenges immigrants face when they come to this country? Their accent.
Oh,
Not what's in their brain,
yeah.
but how they speak.
Well, and you meet all these people who are so well educated in their home country,
But they have an accent.
and they don't have the opportunity.
Yes, because somebody who's interviewing them goes, I don't really want to put up with that accent.
Yeah. That's not what our clients want to hear when they call. That's not what, yeah.
Right? They want to hear you speak perfect English. But the funniest thing about it is that when I came to this country, I spoke Jamaican. I didn't know that. I thought I was speaking English, but people told me that they couldn't understand me.
Yeah.
Okay? And guess what? They can understand me now.
Yes.
But if more I speak Jamaican, I can't speak Jamaican again.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is that accent come and go. You can change them,
Yeah.
right? Just like languages.
Yeah.
You know, in Europe, people appreciate people with accents because of the fact that that means they speak more than one language.
One language. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
But yet, here, you got to speak English.
And you've got to speak it
Forget
a
about
certain
those
way.
other languages. Don't we appreciate the fact that they now have other languages? Because that means your brain has capacity.
And you're cultured.
And
you've
your culture,
experienced more.
right?
Yeah.
That's what it means. So
Yeah.
I'm telling you, like you come to my office and you hear accents from all over the world.
Isn't that great?
And it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And these people bring something very rich to my environment. And not only that, they bring something to each other.
Yeah.
And the tolerance is there as a result of that. When we have International Day, we get food from all over the world
Isn't
that we'll
that neat?
never
Yeah.
eat before. Why would I want everybody to bring meat and potato
Yeah.
to my event?
No.
Okay, what would you put on your potato? Oh, scallop. What else did you put on your potato? I salted it this way and that way.
Boring.
Give me a break, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you bring rice and peas. Oh, you bring Szechuan chicken. Oh, you brought chicken masala. Whatever. Isn't that more interesting?
For sure. And the
That- yeah.
perspective, like as you approach problem solving within business,
Yes.
the different perspectives must be
It's must be
incredibly
incredible.
valuable. Yeah.
You know, one of my colleagues, he went to the top school in China.
Okay.
Top school, meaning the government picked the kids to go to this school. He went there.
Which is already a very academically
Which
rigorous
is very
country.
academic
Yeah.
country, okay?
Yeah.
This man is smart, okay? Couldn't get a job because of his accent.
And you saw through it, obviously, and
He's
saw it
been-
as a
he-
valuable
Been
asset.
with me for 12 years.
Isn't that neat? Yeah. And
And,
why
yeah.
don't more people have that perspective? Like that's, I guess that's what the change you're trying to affect.
That's what we're trying to change.
Yeah.
That's what you call unconscious bias.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that you don't like the person.
Yes.
It means that you don't have the tolerance to listen to that person. And because you don't have the tolerance, you're going to feel that your client won't have it either.
Yes. You're making broad assumptions.
So you're making some broad assumptions
Yeah.
that is incorrect. And as a result of that one person making that broad assumption, saying, I'm not going to hire that person,
Yeah.
it deprives that person and others like that person
Yeah.
from getting to where they truly belong in society.
And their children and their,
And everything.
Yeah.
It affects everything. But it also impacts our country.
yes.
Because let's say, for example, in my case, 3,200 people now working. Let's say, somebody just didn't want to give me that opportunity. Let's say I didn't fight as hard as I did
Yeah.
because I'm black,
Yeah.
right? I didn't fight as hard as I did. I wouldn't have created this many jobs. I wouldn't have had this many industry. We wouldn't be paying this much taxes.
Yeah.
Our society wouldn't be better off
Yeah.
if I didn't fight. If I just took what people said, he's a black guy, he can't go far. If I just took that, the country would be worse off for it today.
It makes me actually feel physically ill when you think about the way that people are treated.
Yeah, just because of how they look and how they sound.
It's something I've noticed lately. So I'm a big proponent. I love men, and I don't mean that in a weird way. I grew up with 3 brothers. I have a dad who's pretty funny and interesting guy, and I appreciate men. But in the last, I'd say, year or two, there's this segment of the male population that for some reason has become much more obvious to me, and it's the white entitled man. And the way that they behave and the way that they speak, there's such a lack of awareness. And I don't know how to, I don't know how to change it. I don't know what to say or what to do, but I sit and listen. And, recently I was in the middle of a transaction and someone was speaking to me in a way that made me think, oh, they think I'm completely useless and that I add nothing to this. And I just sat and listened and listened and listened. And then in the end I spoke. I only spoke for maybe 30 seconds, but I got every one of my points across and I just stopped talking. I thought, oh God, I hope that landed on him. Anyway, he called me a couple of days later and he said, okay, point taken.
Yeah.
But it's just a remarkable, you've seen it, I'm sure,
Well,
throughout
for
your
me,
entire life.
I can't be, I can't be entitled
Yeah.
because people just look at me and just put me in a bucket.
Yeah.
I don't, they just, especially when last weekend I was out with Christine and a colleague and a friend at a restaurant, and I saw all these big mucky mucks that I know, and they know me well.
Yes.
Okay, and they know me well because I've done business with them and everything. But I was wearing these really cool leather pants with Christian Louboutin shoes. I was wearing a Keith New York baseball cap, and I was wearing Balenciaga sunglasses. And I went over to one of the guys and said, "Hey man, how you doing?" Actually, I didn't say, "Hey man, how you doing?" I should change that. I actually said, "Sir, could I take your order, please?"
Oh.
Okay. And he looked up at me and he started ordering.
No, he didn't. Oh my God. That's so embarrassing for him. Oh my God.
I'm like, okay. And then I was like, I'm not talking to him. And it's like, and then he looked up and he just still didn't recognize me, looking at my face. And I'm started laughing. And I'm like, and I say my name and he's like, stand up, hugging me. I'm sorry, man. If I didn't, the glasses, I didn't recognize you. The glasses.
Excuse.
Right?
Yeah.
Excuses, right? And I can tell you time and time again where that happened to me.
Yeah.
Whereby I could be wearing normal clothes with a baseball cap And I'm like Superman.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you got to take off the baseball cap and they're like, oh, Superman, Wes.
It's
you know,
so-
and,
yeah.
and because people see the color
Yeah, that's all they see. Yeah.
and everything else, they're blinded by everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can't walk in a room assuming that, even though I've accomplished all the things I've accomplished, I always introduce myself. I always give people the benefit of the doubt. And I always assume that everybody in the room is smarter than me.
That's, you know,
I
that's
always assume that.
Yeah, that's a
right?
good way to go into
and,
a situation.
And I've learned a lot of things when I take that approach, because I learned that, you know, my grandmother used to use the expression all the time, I play the fool to catch the wise.
Oh, yes.
Right? You play dumb to catch smart people or people who perceive themselves to be smart.
Yeah.
And you learn a lot when you take that approach in life. And I've taken that approach in life and it's taken me this far and I'm going to continue to do that.
It's such a smart approach. And if you go into a room thinking that you're the smartest voice in the room, you're never going to learn anything. So there's no point.
And I say to my colleague, and I said, I don't want to be the smartest person.
No, you're in the wrong room if you're the
Yes.
smartest person in the
I
room.
want to be the person in the room who figure the room out.
Yeah.
I walk in a room and I can figure it out.
Yeah.
And because if you go in a room and you know that at noon there's going to be a massive fire in the room, the smartest guy in the room is going to go to the front because they're going to tell the people about, you know, all kinds of different things and they're going to get attention. The person who figured the room out can read stuff. So he's going to sit right at the back next to the exit.
Yeah.
So when the fire comes, first one out.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to be the person who kind of figure out what's going on in this room.
Yeah.
How can I take advantage of some of the things going on in this room?
Yeah.
And what are the things there that can potentially harm me in this room?
Yeah.
I don't want to be the smartest person. I want to figure the room out. So in my career, all these years and until this day, when I walk into a room, I try to figure out, okay, who's who?
Yeah.
Who are the influencers in the room? Who do I need to get to know because I need to get this or that from that person? But I'm not going to be there talking my mouth off and people go, look at this guy, thinks he's all smart, and start to, you know, push me out of the room before I need to get out of the room.
Challenge you unnecessarily.
Or challenge me unnecessarily. I don't do that. And that's why I talk about with this diversity initiative, you know, a lot of women, we're now getting women on boards, Black people on boards and stuff like that. But what happens when you're the first to do something? You're the first woman to be on a board, for example. You walk into the boardroom, it's all men. What's going to happen? You're going to think that you need to show them why you're here. You got to be smart. But that's the worst thing to do.
No, just listen.
Because then all of a sudden, you're going to be challenged by every single person in that room. Because you're a competition. Now, if you walk into that room and go, you know what? You all have been here for so long. You know so much more about this company than me. I'm here to learn as much as I can from your experience.
Yeah.
People now are willing to engage with you, to teach you stuff because you're not showing them up. Because guess what happens when you think the reason why no women were in the room because of the fact that women weren't capable? Of course they were capable. You go to universities and who's graduated in droves?
Yes.
Women.
Yeah.
So they are capable, right? The problem is that people get into those rooms, even though people talk about marriage and all that kind of stuff, they get in there because of who they know, not because of what they know in a lot of cases. Then all of a sudden somebody really smart shows up. And then they feel bad because they're not as smart as this person. They don't know as much. And when you feel bad about something like that, you gang up on that person ultimately and you get rid of them.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you go, well, look, I knew they couldn't cut it here.
Yeah.
And then you get your way. So you go in there, be humble, learn from other people, even though they can't really teach you much.
Yeah.
But be humble enough to kind of say, you know more than me. Because ultimately, they've been there longer than you.
Yeah.
So they should know more about the organization than you. You take that attitude and they just start to voluntarily give you information and bring you into the tent with them. And once you're in there, then you can show them how smart you are.
Well, and I think that I think it's a bit of a superpower to listen. A lot of people listen because they're trying to figure out what to say next. But if you can just listen, don't worry about what you're saying next. You'll figure it out.
Yes.
But just listen and learn.
Yes.
It's so much more powerful than trying to always react.
Yeah.
And I've always said to my children, the person who wins negotiations, the person who speaks the least. So know when to shut your mouth.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's what I say that to my team as well. You know, sometimes when we negotiate a deal, for example, and my team feels that they've, so I say my piece and somebody, I got to say this, I got to say that. I put the phone on mute. Back in the day when you used to do it over conference call, mute, you put the phone on mute, so nobody speaks. The next person speak is the other side.
Yeah.
Wait for them. Don't talk yourself out of a deal. You should know when you got this person closed.
Yes.
Okay. If you don't know that, you should stop doing what you're doing.
Yeah,
because
change jobs.
You're terrible. You're terrible at it. So you go. You get to a certain point when you know you got this person. Let them speak. The other thing is, and you're in real estate. They go, okay, how much? You pitch them.
Yeah.
Right. You pitch them hard, and finally, how much are you going to list my house for?
Yeah.
And then before you say the price, you start to explain again why you're going to come up with this price.
Yeah.
You already pitched them and they said how much.
Yeah.
Put a number. And stop talking after you put the number on the table.
It's the
Let
stop
them
talking.
speak next.
Yeah.
Right?
It's so hard for people not to talk.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, how much are you going to list my house for? $10 million bucks. But here's why I'm going to list it for 10. You already pitched them on that.
Yeah.
$10 million bucks. Stop talking.
Yeah.
Let them say the next line.
The power of silence.
Yes.
It is so powerful.
So powerful.
Yeah.
And if it takes 5 minutes, 10 minutes for them to think about it, let them.
That's fine.
Don't
Yeah.
fill the void.
No.
Let them fill the void. And so that's sales 101 that a lot of people just don't know. And it applies in everything that we do.
Every aspect.
Right?
of
Every
life.
aspect.
Yeah.
My wife, she's embarrassed by me when I go into places because I never pay full price for anything.
Yeah.
You know that. Because
It's okay.
Yeah,
It's good. It's
right?
why you're successful.
I never. I go in and I'm buying sunglasses. I need 20% off.
Yeah.
Okay, but we don't discount. Everybody discount. Okay, and if you don't discount, I'll go shop someplace else. I don't need it that badly.
Yeah.
And so when we go into places, I remember we were buying this Chanel bag, and she's like, "I am leaving the store." And you can go figure out your discount because it's embarrassing, right? But I got my discount.
Christine's amazing.
And I don't have a problem with
No.
that. You know why? Because when I was growing up with my grandmother
Yeah.
and went to the market, she bartered.
Everything's negotiable.
Everything was bartered. Everything was she haggled for everything. Okay, nope, I'm not paying that for that much because she didn't have the money.
Yeah.
Right? So she had to stretch whatever money she had.
Yeah.
And the only way to do that was to haggle over everything. And she had no problem. She wasn't embarrassed to do that. So why am I going to be embarrassed today to do that?
No. And it's, it's very un-Canadian. You know, people get so uncomfortable with it in Canada.
It's so uncomfortable saying, I want a discount.
I know.
What is there to be uncomfortable about to say to somebody, no, I'm not going to pay that much.
Yeah.
I'm going to pay less. Who cares if I drive a Ferrari?
Yeah.
I don't care. The Ferrari dealer, when they call me up and said, Mr. Hall, I'm the only guy that negotiates with them because everybody else still, sure, do whatever it needs to be. They called me up the other day, my battery. They said, Mr. Hall, you need a new battery for $1,000. I'm like, wait a minute, I changed the battery like a year ago.
Yeah.
There should be a warranty on this battery. Well, you left if you don't do the trickle charge and this doesn't happen, I'm not paying you $1,000 for a battery.
Yeah, good for
Okay?
you.
I already
Yeah.
paid you $1,000 last year. Changed the battery for nothing.
Yeah.
And they changed it for nothing.
That's so good.
Okay?
Yeah.
Right? So,
I know.
I prefer to take that $1,000 and give it to charity to help a kid or a homeless person or something.
Of course.
Right? Ferry
Yeah.
doesn't need that $1,000.
No.
And they know that they're wrong to charge me $1,000.
But they also know that no one asks.
And they know nobody asked
Yeah.
that's driving that car.
Yeah.
My attitude is I would take the money and I would create a scholarship for a kid. $1,000 could go a long way for somebody who has nothing.
Yeah.
Okay. And I prefer to do that with it. My office is the same thing. Why do we buy this for $100? Well, it's only $100. What if we bought 1,000 of them?
It's a small detail, but it does matter. It's all of those accumulation of $100 here and there.
That's right.
That if you put them all together, you can affect change.
I remember when I was renovating my house, the contractor said to me, but Wes, they give me a new, it's only $10,000.
Yeah. Times the
You
next
gave me 10 of
10,000.
these.
Yeah.
Since we've been doing this, you gave me 10 of these.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's a lot of money.
So I'm like, it's only 10,000 when it's standalone.
Let's do some basic math.
But when
here.
it's ongoing, it adds up. That's what math does.
Yeah.
It adds up. And I'm looking at how it's adding up. And that's why it's like, I can't just say, you say to me, it's only 10,000.
No.
And no, I'm looking at the multiplying factor of that 10 and made decisions on that. And so most wealthy people that I know are frugal people.
Yes. They have money, but they don't waste it.
They don't waste money. That's why they have money.
Yeah.
People who are new money or just made it, that's why you have athletes in a lot of cases where make all this money, they blow it because I'm only giving them $1,000. I have a lot of it.
Yeah.
Right? Or family members come out of the woodwork. Oh, you have money. Just give it to me. Friends come out of the woodwork. Just give me the money.
Well, we need our schools to start teaching our kids about compound interest
Yes,
and,
yes.
basic financial principles.
How many kids have bank accounts these days?
Yeah.
None. First of all, the worst place to, it's not, I shouldn't say the worst place to put your money, just let it sit in the bank account because the banks are going to be upset with me for saying that. I have a lot of friends who are CEOs of banks in this country. But to just have your money sit in some place,
Yeah.
it's the worst place to put it.
Money needs momentum.
Money needs to work.
Yeah. Mhm.
Right? Yeah. So we don't teach our kids how to make money work. Mm-hmm. So as a result of that, they just kind of, they make it, they spend it. They make it, they get it, they spend it. And so back in the day when you used to have piggy banks, when was the last time you hear about a piggy bank?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Years.
You don't hear about the piggy bank, right? And so, but again, the piggy bank is the worst place to put the money because the interest, you're not getting interest, the money's not working for you.
Yeah.
It's whatever you put in and you got to take some out invariably. So it's going to get less in a lot of cases, right?
Yeah.
So, teaching kids how to invest.
Yeah.
Because when you invest, you got to do some homework.
Yeah.
You got to look at the company, you got to ask some questions, and then you got to understand things like financials and this term called EBITDA.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
Like, how do you get a
What is
profit?
EBITDA? Yeah.
Yeah. And so when kids start to learn that stuff, and that's why lemonade stands are great because that's where they learn entrepreneurialism.
Yes.
Right? Because guess what they have to do? They have to buy the lemonade.
Yeah.
They have to buy the sugar, get the water, and they have to cost it. Mm-hmm. How much are you going to sell it for? This cost me this much, so I got to sell it for this much to get a profit.
And then they've got to market and sell it.
And then they got to market. They got to sell
Yeah.
it. They could put up a sign in the front. The location is important. How much traffic goes by here, foot traffic, and where do I put the sign to get the attention of the people? All those things, kids are taught with a lemonade stand.
Yes.
But
yeah.
how many times have you seen a lemonade stand in your neighborhood over the last
I
little
know.
while?
Well, I did see one not too long ago in our neighborhood, and
we
I
need-
did stop. And I
Exactly.
Did stop. Yeah.
But we need to encourage that
Yeah.
more because entrepreneurialism builds our society.
How old? So I'm assuming you taught all of your children about investing, and how old were they when you started those conversations?
Oh, I guess they watch it in action because
Yeah.
they realize that I
your
don't
life.
spend too much money and I take the money and I do something with it, right?
Yes.
And so now, like my second son, he's working for my private equity company. So
He's doing well too.
he
I'd
does.
be talking to him.
That's
yeah.
what he does: investments.
Yes.
Right. He looks at opportunities that people pitch him, and he started asking all the questions and as to whether or not we should invest. And we get together as a team and we decide, yeah, we're going to invest. No, we're not going to invest. And when to get out of an investment if it's not working out for you, and the different things that you need to do with the management team to optimize the asset that you have. So he's, at 27 years old, like he's deep into that stuff, right?
Isn't that
And it's one thing to learn it in school, but now you're putting it into practice.
Well, and he's lived it. He's
And he's
watched.
lived it.
He's watched you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, would one of your dreams be to have all of your children work with you one day, or do you want
No,
them to all to find their own passion?
That's what I was hoping for.
Yeah.
But my son is funny. We were on the beach in St. Lucia when he graduated, and we're talking about the future for him.
Yeah.
And I put him in touch with a whole bunch of people on Bay Street, and he came back and he's like, "I want to work with you, if you would allow
The
me
ultimate
to."
compliment.
Yeah. And I'm like, done. He's been with me for almost 5 years now. And my second son went to University for Environmental Sciences, has no interest in business, zero interest in business. That kid would give away all his money to charity. But he was always like that as the 28-year-old. We would see envelopes from World Vision, and he would, his receipt, he would sponsor kids in Africa.
It's like Mimi.
That kind of stuff that he does, right? And so he has no interest. And so he went to University for Environmental Sciences, and it so happened that one of the companies in our portfolio is an environmental services company.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so he's like, that's where I want to work.
Oh, neat.
And he's not a
Okay.
desk guy. He's got to be outside, get his hands dirty, that kind of stuff. Whereas his brother, I'm a desk guy. I'm going to be a Bay Street guy.
He's you.
I'm going to make a lot of money. He's me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
My daughter, on the other hand, my 26-year-old daughter, she's into volunteer work, helping people to learn the Bible and different things like that. She's not interested in business and commerce.
Yeah.
And she just feel that I'm going to spend my time trying to help other people.
She's got a beautiful energy. You feel
And
it the
she
second
is.
you meet her.
She
Yeah.
is. She's like a very, very nice kid and down to earth. And my 18-year-old, I don't know what Scala's going to do. She's second year university, but all I know is that she's going to be fine.
She'll be fine.
That's
Yeah.
all I know.
Yeah.
I remember when she came to my office as a child, and My wife said it was my second daughter that did that. My first daughter that did that, but I thought it was her. So it says Wes Hall, President and CEO, and she took out Wes and put her name.
Oh,
And then
that's
put the card back.
Go Skylar.
It's like,
Yeah.
that's gonna be she's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Brogan is like, he wants to be a race
He's
car
chill.
driver.
He's
Yeah,
chill.
he's like,
Yeah.
I want to be a race car driver or commercial pilot. One of the two. And I'm like, dude, do whatever you want that makes you happy.
But
right?
yeah, find your passion.
Find your
Yeah.
passion. Yeah.
But so Mimi and Skylar are the same age, and I recently asked Mimi, she's doing her commerce co-op at Dal, and I said, so what do you want to do? And she said, I want to be a philanthropist. And I said, but you've got to make the money
You
first.
gotta make the money first.
So what do you want to do? And then you can be a philanthropist.
You gotta make the money, and then or you can do it on behalf of other people. There are
You
people
can have
who
a
do it
job
professionally
doing it.
now.
Yeah, and that's
right.
what she said. She said, no, I want to train, and I want to do it for a bank or for something. So,
There you go. So
yeah.
that's it's a great place. Like the foundation, Sick Kids Foundation. That's what
Yeah.
we do, right? We raise money to help people,
Yeah.
and kids in particular, and it's a big task to kind of raise that. It's a skill
Oh,
to raise money.
we used to, so Mimi, I don't know if you know this, when she was a baby, she had meningitis, and she actually died on the table at Sick Kids, and they revived her. And when I was there and she was in the hospital for a while, I sort of made a promise to someone and said, okay, if we get out of here and she's in my arms, then I'll fundraise for Sick Kids. Yeah. So we did a fundraiser for 4 years called the Fight for Independence, and raised about $400,000 or $500,000 for Sick Kids.
Great.
But it's such a great organization. And
amazing.
people say, I mean, this is perhaps a little bit controversial, but at the time I was bringing in some bankers to help with their fundraiser. And one of them said to me, why Sick Kids? They have so much money. And it was a challenging thing to hear. And I thought,
Yeah. The thing about it is that people don't realize the money that it takes to do the research, to attract the talent, and to run a facility like that, to be world class. It takes a lot of money to do that. And think about it. Your kid has a problem, and there's like 2 hospitals in the world that can help that child.
yeah,
And in a lot of cases, it's sick kids.
yeah.
Are you going to worry about, they have too much money?
Well, and is there any such thing? If they have too much money, they'll just innovate.
They just,
They'll
exactly.
solve more.
That's the reason why we're in cutting edge.
Yeah,
Research takes a ton of money and takes a ton of time. And you're not going to be successful in your first try, your second try, your third try, your fourth try.
No.
If you are in a business, okay, and you spend $1 million in that business and the business is not working out, what are you going to do? Right? You're going to cut your losses and move on in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
Or you're going to have to put more money on top of it to keep the business going. Running a research institution is like that, whereby you fail on the first attempt and you just blew like $1 million.
yeah,
You got to try again. You fail on the second attempt, you got to do another $1 million. That's $2 million in.
Yeah.
You fail on your third attempt, oh man, you got to put another $1 million in. And then your fourth attempt, you got it.
yeah. And it was worth it.
Cost you $4 million.
Yeah.
That's why you need money.
Yeah. Well, ultimately, we ended up choosing Sick Kids.
Yeah.
So it worked out. And this person has children. And I thought, I mean, this is why I do it. I don't
Yes,
know. I don't ever
yes.
want to be in a position where I can't
Yes. you
serve my
can't
children.
Let your kid just go, wait a minute, I want the best institution. And that's where, same thing with the University of Toronto, top institution in the country, one of the top in the world.
Yeah.
It takes money to run an institution like that, to keep it at that level.
Yeah.
But it gives us pride when we know we have the best.
The best. And to be chancellor, that's a huge
It is a,
honor.
that is one of the, if not the biggest honor in my life.
Yeah, it's
You know,
massive.
from where I started,
Yeah.
200 years of history the university has in this country. The first Black person to ever receive that honor.
Oh, really? I
Yes,
hadn't realized.
first.
Wow.
And the youngest. And so it is an extreme honor to why this country is so great.
It's well earned.
Right.
Now, do you ever just go walk around the university campus?
Well, the beauty of it is I do have an office at the university.
Yes.
So I do go to the office and sit down, and I can't believe it because I'm sitting there as
Yeah.
chancellor of this massive institution.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing about being chancellor as well, every official event I get to say the last word.
Oh,
At
isn't
every
that
official
fabulous?
event.
Yeah.
I
Just
have-
not at home. You
Not
don't
at
get
home. I don't
to-
get the last word at home.
No.
But at the university, I get the last word.
Yeah.
But at home, you know, I have to bite my tongue and say I'm not going to get the last word in this one here.
No.
And but it's the biggest honor of my life to
It's-
to have been chosen, and after an exhaustive process that they go, this is the guy that we want.
What an honor.
Yeah.
I love the campus. I've recently spent time riding my bike and walking through it.
Isn't
My
it
dad's
beautiful?
actually an active student at the University of
No way.
Toronto. Yeah.
So I just
He's
kind of go into
83 years old.
classes. I just go
Yeah.
into class and sit in the back and watch
Yeah.
what's going on and listen.
amazing.
And it is just it's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
It's-
I've been thinking about doing my MBA. So
Yeah,
I know. It's just finding time.
it is.
It's the one thing we can't.
Well, go to Rotman.
Manufacture.
Rotman is amazing. It's like you know, it's in fact I'm doing an event for Rotman this week where I'm closing, and we have a new building and all this stuff going. But it's amazing institution. You should
Yeah.
you
I'll
should
look
do
into
it.
it.
You
Yeah.
should do it. It's always something I always wanted to do as well. And like you, it's the time factor.
Yeah.
That's the issue. But it just I think it's something that if you have a passion and say I want to do something,
Yeah.
you will never regret it.
Maybe it'll be a retirement project.
Right?
Always
Yeah,
learning.
could be.
Now, if you could give advice to the young version of Wes,
Yeah.
what would you say?
I would say just I wouldn't have done anything different than I've done to get here. It was a lot of hard work. Relationships are absolutely critical, and the sooner you can build them, the better. And, you know, ego, just pretend you have none. Pretend it doesn't exist. It kills careers, it kills businesses, and it kills relationships.
Kills relationships,
Right?
that's for sure.
And so if you pretend that you have no ego at all, you're going to learn so much, because people are going to be open to teach you a lot. And that's kind of what got me here, because people saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And I wasn't so full of myself to go, look at me, don't you know who I am?
Yeah.
It's that humility helps you, and it takes you a long way. And unfortunately, a lot of young people these days, they don't have it.
No.
They come into the workforce day one, and they start telling you how to run your business.
Yeah, and they expect everything.
And expect everything.
Yeah.
When they should show up, what they should wear, where they should work from, you know, what work they should do,
Yeah.
how much they should be paid. I didn't have any of those expectations.
No.
I was just happy that somebody saw something in me that I didn't see in myself.
And I think in a way we've done a disservice to our children by giving away participation awards and telling them they're special every day. And that's not how the real world works.
You know, there's parents who get upset when you say, I don't want a participation ribbon.
Oh, I've said it all the time.
And I say to my children that, and my kids, my son Brenton plays football in university.
Yeah.
Whenever he makes a bad play, he knows when he goes to the sideline, he's going to hear it from the coach.
Yeah.
And he's probably going to sit out a play or two as a lesson. In our society, there are winners
Yeah.
and there are losers.
Yeah.
That's just how our society works.
That's
why
absolutely
people get
right.
fired from jobs.
Yeah.
And that's why people get promoted, you know, because they're winners and losers.
Yeah.
So when we raise our kids to think that everybody are winners,
Yeah.
it's a false sense of security we're giving them, and we're not preparing them for the real life.
Yeah.
When they get into a situation and somebody sit them down and say, you just didn't do as well as we expected.
Yes.
And as a result of that, I'm going to not give you a bonus, or I'm going to, you know, demote you or whatever. They can't take those conversations because they've always been told that they're just as good as everybody else.
Yeah.
And now somebody's sitting down and telling them that your colleagues are better than you.
Yeah.
Right? If you have 10 people working in a job, somebody is going to get a promotion,
Yeah.
and other people are going to be left behind.
And no one's going to get a ribbon for showing up
Exactly.
for work. Yeah.
What does it take for that person to get the promotion versus you? It's competition.
Yeah.
You have to either work harder, be smart. You have to do something
You
better and
need
different.
to want to be better than everyone else. Yeah.
So when we say to everybody, 100 people compete, all you guys get the same ribbon, it takes away the hard work that the person who practiced and trained and did. You know, we did a cross country when Brogan was younger, and we Ashbridges Bay and did the
yes.
cross country, and he practiced.
Yeah, he would.
He went into the trails and he ran with me and everything. And he's telling me that, Dad, my little legs are too tired, right? And then he went and he came in second place.
Amazing. For the city of Toronto.
300 kids or so that competed. He came in second place. He got the same ribbon and all all the other kids.
See, that's not fair.
He
It
didn't
would just
display
drive me
that kid. He didn't
crazy.
display it in his room.
No.
Because it goes meaningless.
Yeah.
Right? So we have to let, the kids know that there is, when you put the hard work in, even if you don't win when you put the hard work in, the hard work was put in.
Yeah. And it's valued. I mean, that's what we're
valued.
telling them is that we're not valuing your hard
Yes.
work. And that's the issue, in my
Yes.
opinion, is if someone's willing to put in the work, then they should be recognized.
You look at
for
the
it.
Olympics, why do we cheer a gold medalist?
Yeah.
Why? Why don't we cheer the person who came sixth place?
Yeah.
Nobody cares who came sixth because it wasn't exceptional.
Well, this year all they care about is the break dancer. But
That's right. Who didn't even play.
she took over the Olympics. Yeah.
Right? Because somebody say you're so bad that we have to watch you, right?
Yeah.
That's not what you want to celebrate.
No,
Right? You want to
it's
celebrate
not.
excellence.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. That's what life's about. Celebrating excellence, not because you did terrible.
Yeah.
But we raise our kids to say, just go out and do it. It doesn't really matter. It does matter.
It does,
And it
yeah.
also matters for that child's self-confidence.
Yeah.
When they know that they put 100% in, they put the practice in, and it doesn't matter the outcome. They put the practice in and they tried their best.
Yeah.
And that's what we ask our kids to do, not just to show up without practicing and expecting that you're going to be treated exactly the same as the kid who spent hours and hours trying to be better.
Yeah. And failure, I would say I've probably learned more from failure than success in my life.
100%. I go through so much challenges as a business person that the average person would go, I'm going to give up.
Yeah.
And my colleagues look at and they go, man, I don't know how you do it. Because success is not a line that goes up. It goes up and down.
And the downs are
And
pretty
the downs,
steep.
and the downs are steep, but the downs is, as you mentioned, is where you learn your best lessons.
Yeah.
Not on the ups. Everybody can ride the wave, but once that wave crashes, and you're there and you're off that board, and you have to now try to keep your head above water. That's where you learn how to swim the best.
Yes, absolutely.
Because you got to save your life. And so in businesses, when it's down and it's a down economy, that's when you make the toughest decisions.
Yeah.
Who do I let go? Who do I keep? When? Where do I get my customers? Do I need to cut my prices? All those things are things that you learn on the downs.
Yeah.
On the up, all you learn is, I need to charge more.
Yeah.
I need to build more.
But in the down, you're
But in
building
the
a
downs, you're
scalable
building
business.
to say, okay, fine,
Yeah.
I'm going to scale it, and it comes back better.
Yeah.
Right? If
We
it comes
found
back
that.
better.
Yeah, we found that. I recently had an interaction with Mimi, who, my eldest daughter, and she was criticizing some of the decisions I've made in life. And I really valued it because it meant, I've given her the space to feel she can communicate that way to me, which is difficult, but I onboarded it. And I responded to her and I said, my hope is that through my failures, you've learned something without having to go through the pain of it just by watching it. And then in your life, your failures will be different, but hopefully not quite as painful as some of mine. Anyway, we're fortunate. We're both fortunate to have these experiences.
No, and I think it's at the end of the day, we go, they will get there.
Yeah.
And they'll make their own decisions when they get there.
And hopefully
and
they'll
then
look
they
to
will
us.
appreciate and go, wow, now I see.
Yeah, it's too. They don't have the context to understand at this
They don't.
age. No,
Not until they get there.
no.
So sometimes I go, I don't want you to crash. I don't want you to crash and burn. That's why I'm telling you all these things.
Yeah,
But ultimately, it's up to you to take them or not.
absolutely.
Can't force it down their throats.
Yeah.
And we just try to make ourselves examples for them so that they go, okay, if it worked for mom and dad, it's probably going to work for me.
Yeah,
And that's all we can offer them.
and give them the foundation, and then they can build.
And they can build on it.
So you have a world to go run, your empire. So we'll release you into the wilds of Toronto
Well,
now.
thank you so much.
Thank you for coming. Yeah.
And it's been a pleasure, and it's great conversation, and
It's fun.
hopefully people that are listening that learn a thing or two from it.
Yes, and certainly, and hopefully some people feel inspired to support the Black North Initiative as well.
Good.
And
We always need money, always
yeah.
need support. So write your checks and blacknorth.ca.
There you go, blacknorth.ca. And separately, we'll carry on the conversation with Christine and maybe with Stefan as well, and have a dinner soon.
Done.
Perfect.
Looking forward to it.
Okay,
All
me
right.
too.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Wes.